The strike by Ekiti State civil servants has crippled activities at all state and local government offices, as well as shut all public primary and secondary schools across the state. 2 weeks into the strike that has paralyzed activities in Ekiti State, and there seemed not to be any end into the strike, as labor leaders insist unless government pays 3 out of the 5 months backlogs of salaries, they are not going to consider cutting off the strike. Just behind me, this building, labor leaders in Ekiti are emerging from a meeting.
Still say precisely that the strike is still ongoing. In as much we have not reached a consensus with the government, and we believe that what we are agitating for is our right. If the government is ready to consent to our request, we are ready to suspend or to call off the strike. But in as much the government still hell-bent on not fulfilling what the request that we have placed before them.
What's their request?
The request, it ranges from salaries, the salaries of 5 months.
A trip around the state capital shows that security has been beefed up around government offices in the city.
We decided to post our security operatives and our policemen to all the government establishments as a precaution against any other thing, such as vandalization of places, as workers are not on seat. So it's just a normal security procedure.
The lingering industrial action is already taking its toll in almost all phases of life of Ekiti citizenry.
I indulge Mr. Governor to think within his own ideological idea to consider these people and get them paid, because we cannot suffer anymore. Women are crying, the old ones are dying, and the students are hating.
We are jẹun báyìí, àwọn ọmọ ọdẹ lọ school. So wá ti gba oúnjẹ àwọn òbí tá a ti ń gbà náà, wọn fún wa mọ́. So automatically, we affect the family.
Meanwhile, the strike continues as Labour and government continue to dialogue on a compromise to end the industrial action. Akin Ogumola, TVC News, Ado Ekiti.
Okay, it's still TVC Breakfast, and we're moving on now to our next big story. We're looking at Ekiti State. This are really not the best of times for Ekiti State. Actually, many other states in Nigeria, but we want to, pay attention to Ekiti State. Not because we have anything against the state, but want to use this to actually dissect what is going on with Nigerians on paid salaries, abandoned projects, doctors going on strike, and all of that. So we're joined now by Lanre Ogunshuyi on phone from Ekiti. That's the Commissioner of Information, of course. Good morning to you, Honorable Commissioner. Yes, talk to us about what is happening with the ordinary man on the streets in Ekiti right now. So much seems to be going against him. Workers are, of course, on strike because salaries have not been paid. Doctors also have down tools, and so many other things. And of course, Fayose, the governor of that state,
solidarity.
He absolutely, and then he is crying that government is being unfair to him. So respond to all of this for us, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good that I'm on the air this morning. It's not a pleasure to be talking about the issues that you have raised, because these are issues that have to do with humanity. And as you will know, the whole aim of governance is to provide service for humanity and to promote better life for the people. Unfortunately, there are so many factors militating against government at this time. I like the way you have put it, that you are just using Ekiti State as a basis for analysis of the general decadent conditions within the nation Nigeria right now. Ekiti State workers are on strike, rightfully so, because government has not been able to meet its obligations to them on salaries. But we see that it is also peaceful, because the workers themselves understand the fact that the money is not just there. If in some months in the past, if you got as much as 7 billion, some from SS crude oil accounts, some from the normal allocations. We used to get about 3.6 billion in a month, and now some months you get 743 million in a month. You know that life is not going to be easier for you as an institution.
Yes.
So yes, so we have done all the cost-saving measures. We have done, aggressive IGR drive that has also pitched us against a lot of institutions and people, because people, as you know, are not used to paying their taxes.
All right, Mr. Ogunsuyi, you're aware that the NLC made a call a couple of weeks ago that actually made a statement that the state executive, the states are bereft of ideas and creativity when it comes to IGR, internally generated revenue. How is your state faring in this regard?
Let me do an analysis of what is IGR. First of all, you have the payee, which is pay as you earn. You have tax on constructions, on contracts, which is in itself the major one, because, look at our tax regime. The totality of the tax on a contract will run into about 13% or 13.4 or percent. So if you give out a contract of 10 million, you get an IGR on taxation, VAT and all that, close to about 140,000 naira. But you cannot tax a worker. The collectivity of the workers, if you look at the tax, because what you tax individually is different. Again,
May I interrupt you? May I interrupt you, please? May I interrupt you, Mr. Ogunsuyi? May I interrupt you? Beyond taxes, beyond when salaries are not paid, you may not be able to get taxes. That's fair. But what other measures do you have in place? What other economic idea do you have in place to generate revenue?
We came in, we followed through the reborn brick industry, because that's about the only industry that we met with that was about to work. We followed it through. This is a state where you don't have industries. You don't have industries, manufacturing industries. It's basically agrarian. It's a people economy. It's actually civil service economy driven, because that's where the bulk of the money comes from.
All right, sorry to cut you in there. Now, when you say this is a civil service state, it is very well known that Ekiti is endowed naturally. I mean, looking at bitumen, for example, which Ekiti has in massive quantity. Does this not reflect the lack of creativity that, yes, has been, ascribed to many state executives, including, of course, Ekiti State?
What we have done here is to follow through a bill that was started by the previous administration in creating an agency on mineral resources. And you know that there is a constitutional law, there is a constitutional provision that puts, extraction of mineral deposits and solid minerals under the exclusive list of the federal government. There have been lip service, general statements made in newspapers that the federal government conceding the right of states to explore minerals. We are looking at how it's going to work. Fortunately, the Minister of Solid Minerals is from the state. We are looking up to him. He is representing the state. We are looking up to him creating opportunities in that sector. The communities are waiting eagerly to see how the state, the state can only be a facilitator. And the investors are also waiting. And we are praying that we will not play politics with this, because when we came in, we saw that opportunity. There is a cadastral map, which every government has always had. We want people to come in and partner with us in the areas of solid minerals. And that is why we made sure that the bond brick industry is working. It's supplying blocks to, outside the state. It's earning money. People are getting so. But that's the only industry, that's the only factory that is working. We are just shareholders there. We are not running it. The other one, I don't want to be partisan this morning. I want to be patriotic. But, you cannot fail to put it on, there must be a synergy. Rather than collapse the textile mill, which used to work. I know that during the Babangida era, a lot of things were done in that textile mill. And in any case, it's not so difficult setting up a zoo. There is this actual thing that is cashless is in vogue and all that. So we could do such in that place, but unfortunately, it's no longer there. So we inherited an economy that was geared towards, commercial, enterprises. Loans were given to people to try and set up small businesses that sell, and so you have a lot of shops. A lot of people are selling small, one bag of rice, which is okay because the people here are very, very enterprising. So,
all right, Mr. Ogunsuyi, if I may come in here, Mr. Ogunsuyi, just hold on a second. So what exactly has happened with stomach infrastructure? A lexicon that, a phrase that's entered into our national lexicon. What is the situation with that now? And you did say that the workers in Ekiti State do understand what is going on. If they do, why are they on strike?
They are on strike because, at some point, push has to come to show. Because when there is a problem that looks intractable, at some point there is a breakdown in communication. But I can assure you that the communication link is maintained, the workers understand, and we understand too. As I'm talking to you, I'm not blaming workers. I'm not saying that, you have to empathize with them because I'm also a worker. I work. I'm in my office and I speak to you, and I haven't been paid since January. Of course, even as Commissioner for Information, I will have a feeling that government is not adequately addressing my, issues. But then I also understand that the money is not there. So it's something that is novel, is new. For the first time, government has to admit that it cannot pay its workers. And it's all over the federation. Even the federal government is raising alarm that the wage is high. And you can now look at it from the fact that when we had excess crude oil, when we had high oil prices, we simply went boom, employed people into civil service.
Mr. Ogunsuyi,
small businesses.
Mr. Ogunsuyi, there are other issues that, let's say if we can just delve into one or two of that before we go on the news update. Tell us about your wage bill. There have been allegations that the wage bill you inherited from the former governor, Fayemi, is what you still have till date. A lot of retirees, a lot of people probably being sacked. Why is it still the same? The NLC chapter in Ekiti State made the allegation. Can you quickly respond to that?
But allegations will always be made when there are crises. People would look at things and say different things. You certainly know that civil servants prepare wage bills. I don't know. I wouldn't know the wage bill of the Ministry of Information unless I request for that information from the Pay and G department of the Accountant General's office. That's the way government runs. As a government, we can have a rough estimate because it goes up. People get it's like your ATM card.
Just hold on for us, Honorable Commissioner. All right, we're still on TVC Breakfast, of course, and we're looking at Ekiti State and the state of affairs there, and of course, Nigeria in general. We have a guest in the studio right now, Bimbo Daramola, a former member of House of Representatives. Of course, Lanre Ogunsuyi, Commissioner for Information, Ekiti State, is still on the line with us. Let's bring you in at this point. You have heard all of the issues, discussed so far with Mr. Ogunsuyi and his reasons or his side of the story, as it were. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's an emotional time for me, talking about my state, a state very dear to the hearts of so many people. And emotional in the sense that for 4 years I was in the parliament championing the case and the cause of these people. In addition, or riding on the back of that one, was the fact that I also served as DG of the Fayemi re-election process. And so I saw this coming. It's a case of destiny aforetold. For some reason, we knew that if the state didn't eventually grind, it was going to come to this sorry pass. And I've tried to exercise some restraint, not to want to talk about Ekiti because I'm going to be quoted. Oh, what do you expect him to say? It's APC after all. Oh, he ran the campaign after all, and all of that. But now we have the issues. Issues are that the same workers who Dr. Peter Delefauci said he came to liberate, we can tell whether this is truly the liberation that they deserve. It is his description. It describes himself as Ore Mekuno. Ore Mekuno means friends of the poor.
Friend of the poor.
I would expect the poor to speak up right now. Whether if you've not been paid for 6 months or 7 months is the way to show your friendship. And then if you begin to talk about issues, let's leave sentiments and talk about the issues. One, we know too well that the economy is, is snaking and all of that, the national economy. But we are saying, and I am convinced about it, that things shouldn't come to this sorry pass.
Okay, let me take you to Anambra State. You remember the state, Anambra State is not owing right now.
Yes.
They also are facing the same problems that other states in the federation are facing. But one thing that they had going for them was the prudence of the former governor, Peter Obi,
yes,
which is what they are riding on. Can you say that of the
That
former
the
governor?
proper foundation
Yes.
was laid for them.
Peter Obi is no longer there, but a lot of his prudence is paying off today. Can you say that for Ekiti State? You were the campaign manager of former governor of Fayemi.
Very well.
So why is that not happening in Ekiti State?
Well, again, my brother Ogunshi said a few things, and I hope I can walk through them before this time is up. One, everybody alludes to the fact that, Dr. Fayemi has borrowed money. The question to ask is, what did he borrow the money for? He said, by his own admission here, he said Ekiti State is an agrarian economy, number one. It's a civil service state, number two. Did it just become that? No. Fayemi lived the realities of all of that. And that was what propelled him to getting the loan. The factory that he referred to is actually in front of my father's house. That company, that factory, Ekiti Bond Bricks, had been prostrate for 21 years. It took a Dr. Fayemi to bring it back. Having taken loan and invested into that company that had been prostrate for 20-something years, I dare this administration to publish 1 naira that they had invested as shareholder in terms of beyond giving expression to your equity. Tell us what you had committed to that company in the past 1 year. Or 1 year plus that you've been in government.
All right, we'll of course give a guest on the phone. That's the Commissioner for Information, the opportunity to answer, and of course we'll allow you land. But let's take a listen in to what the governor himself, Ayo Fayose, said.
The Commissioner for Finance called me that we got 751 million, which is 1/3 or 1/4 of a wage bill. So I need to set this record straight. I am doing my best in the needful, but it's difficult for me to sell myself or sell my wife or sell my property. It is a trying time for our state and for Nigeria. I can only deploy what I get from Abuja, but I can't stop workers from going on strike. If they have to go on strike, I can't stop them. I can only give explanation, which I have given, and the best I could do is what I can do. So I sympathize with them, but I'm helpless. So if they want to go on strike, we'll be here waiting when they come back.